You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I've really got to think of a different introduction, I think, at this point. I've been doing that for a couple of years like that, haven't I? But it just feels right. Anywho, the interview subject you've tuned in to hear from is from Epica, Simone Simons. She's the vocalist, or one of the two vocalists in the outfit, and the reason for the chat with Simone is because the group have a new album which will be launched on February 26th. It's called Omega. Now, the first half of this conversation, we talk about COVID and the impact on bands, and you can hear how much it's affecting Simone. And it's not just necessarily about her, it's about her band and all of the bands that are out there that would typically be on the road, getting ready for festival appearances in the Northern Hemisphere summer, going to pubs and clubs, who can't do that. So fingers crossed we get out of this bloody COVID thing sooner rather than later. I mentioned through the conversation about rapid testing sites. I just can't understand why those things aren't at the entrance to retail venues, restaurants, and pubs and clubs, as I say, because then we could all get back to doing what we love. Anyway, here she is, Simone Simon from Epica.
Good day, good evening, I think, in Australia.
Good evening. It's what time is it over there? You're in the Netherlands, are you? Or Germany? You're in Germany, aren't you? So it must be early morning.
Yes, it's 10 a.m. here.
10 a.m. Yes, it's 7:03 p.m. I've already made the dinner for the kids. One of the kids has just been yelling at me, or yelling at my wife, actually, because she doesn't want to try on some school shoes that we're telling her she has to try on, because this is this time of year, you see, as you might be aware, so getting ready for school and all the rest of it. So, what can I say? Belated Happy New Year.
Yeah, my son is also at home and he might interfere with the interview. Schools hopefully will start in a week, but we're not sure about that. So.
Oh, that's right. Germany's been under pretty heavy lockdowns.
Yeah, and depending on what the politicians think, the schools might open or not. But for the sake of everybody, I think it's better, especially also for my son. He's an only child and he misses his friends.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I agree and concur absolutely. The fact that they shut down schools. Look, there's a lot of politics around this COVID situation, I believe, and it's been taken advantage of by some fairly nefarious interests. And I'm certainly not a conspiracy theorist, I will assure you there, but I think the old saying, never waste a good crisis, I think Winston Churchill said it. That's what's happening.
Yeah, but it's it's testing us all. Let's put it like that.
Indeed it is, yeah. Well, it did test you guys, I suppose. Not that you can hear that, because I love your new album, by the way. Omega.
Thank you so much.
But I guess that's the big question. How did you deliver it through this COVID situation?
We were actually doing really well up until we had to record the vocals, the lead vocals. So Mark's grunts and my vocals. Mark lives in Sicily and I live in Germany, and we always record the album in the Netherlands. And that was the middle of March, and that was when the lockdown was approaching, and I could feel that it was coming. And I said, I'd rather not go to the Netherlands, especially because where the studio is located was like a Corona hotspot.
Mm-hmm.
And my son wasn't going to school. But in the beginning, they said, don't bring the kids to grandparents because they are at great risk. Mm-hmm. So we had nobody to take care of our son. My husband also had to work. And then we had the solution of me recording in the morning in the studio close by. My husband was taking care of our son. And then in the afternoon, he could go to work and I would be back home. So that's how we made it work. Joost, our producer, was there on the iPad in my vocal booth. He could talk to me. I could hear him through my headphones, and it was almost as if I was recording in the Netherlands. And the studio was only like 20 minutes away from my house, so it was very nice to go to work in the morning and go back home in the afternoon. And that's something I don't really have experience with. And Mark recorded in Sicily at home.
Yeah,
that's how we did it.
The wonders of technology, isn't it? And I think to that end, everything is going to be different in the entertainment business from here on, moving forward, because of course the big thing about performing live is that you're performing in front of, particularly with you guys, sometimes tens of thousands of people. But that's
Yeah.
probably not going to happen for many years again, I don't think, because it's just like we're going back into lockdowns here in Australia. So every time there's a cluster or an outbreak, we just go back into lockdown. So nobody is going to be scheduling, or maybe they have scheduled Varkin, I don't know, I haven't checked, sorry. But the point being is that...
I think so, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
well,
they have scheduled it, but I also have a heavy heart in the whole situation. I mean, you have to be realistic. Of course, we're all eager to go back on stage, but we all know by now that the art industry, the music business, the entertainment business is the last to start working again. And a lot of musicians are like going crazy, especially the ones that live for touring. There are also, you have kind of two kind of musicians, one that love to be in the studio, like my husband, he loves it, but I also love to travel and be on stage. If I'm in studio for too long, it's too much of the same for me. So I am like itching to go back on tour, and some musicians are not. And I know a couple of my close friends in the music business. They're also, you see that everybody is kind of venturing out into new directions, trying to keep themselves busy creatively, but we all have this big loss, or we miss something that nothing actually can replace except for being on stage.
Agreed. And do you see, how do you see things changing though? Because I have a feeling a lot of these big, even if they're booked, say Varken and Hellstock, or these huge European festivals that we hear about here in Australia and are very envious of, I must say. But I just can't see how they're going to go ahead for a long time until a vaccine is rolled out to the majority of the population, or rapid testing units are set up on site. And I don't know why the rapid testing units are taking so long globally, because it seems like the most obvious solution sides of the economy can tick over. But until that happens, you've got to use technology again. So have you guys talked about the way in which you're going to use technology to reach people?
Yeah, some of our colleagues have started doing streaming concerts, and we are checking the options for us. The extra difficulty that we have is that we live in 4 different countries. And as long as we have lockdowns, we can get together in order to create something like that. But the CD is going to be released in February. Originally, our first postponement of the tour would have been in March. And that is again postponed to 2022, January. But we want to, of course, represent the album, and we have to be flexible and go with the, like you say, the technology that we have now, and try to come up with something really amazing for the fans.
One thing that I participated in not too long ago was Marcus set up for Michael Schenker a Zoom meeting with a few of us. That was outstanding. That was fantastic. Has there been, Marcus spoken to you guys about potentially doing that as well?
We are discussing it, because it would be a shame to release the album. We already postponed the album because the tour was postponed, and we can't postpone the release of the album again, but we also cannot just release it into the world without any show. So we have already started preparing the songs, rehearsing the songs. Guys have met up a couple of times, the ones that live in the Netherlands and can get together. And Mark and myself, we were practicing the songs at home. So by the time that we are available, or that we can get together, that we can hopefully create something, and that we have the new music in our bones, in our system. And I don't know how it's going to be. I've seen some streams from my colleagues, and some say it was great, some say it was weird, and to me it feels probably like a rehearsal or a sound check in a way, because the audience is missing the interaction, the energy is different. But I love singing, I miss it. I sing at home, but it's not the same as when you're playing with a band. So and I've never played the new songs live. So that's also something
Yeah.
exciting. And I think that's just how it's going to be for a while. I have my doubts that the summer festivals are going to take place. I'm afraid
Yeah,
it's
likewise, yeah.
probably not going to happen. But I crave it
Mm.
badly. There was this last summer was the first summer without festivals, and that's the first since I got into the business. And it's so weird. I mean, it's nice to enjoy summer at home, but summer's my favorite season, and I love festivals because that's when I also get to see my colleagues and I can check out other bands, and I just love the vibe, the nice weather, and the smell of the festival fields. So,
Yeah, it's all coming back. I know. Yeah, as I say, we don't have them here. We've just recently got download, but it's a bit different. I think
okay.
for us, we get an abridged version of it or a condensed version of it. We don't get the massive 4 and 5 day things that you guys get. So, and particularly for you guys, I mean, you guys are a headline act. For you guys to be out there, I mean, for an album like this, and I'm glad you touched on it. And I've said this many times over the last, how long has this been going on? 9 months, 10 months. But there are
Yeah.
a lot of albums, unfortunately, that are falling through the cracks, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
with metal, and particularly with you guys, your bullpit is the live arena, meaning that if you're going out there and pressing the flesh, so to speak, meeting fans and, as you say, interacting with your people in other bands and all of this sort of stuff, this is how the word gets spread. And without that,
Yes.
there's the potential, and I'm glad you're being realistic about it, because I think every artist outside of Beyonce maybe, who can just release whatever the hell she wants these days. But for a metal band, you
Mm-hmm.
really do need to be out there. So I'm a bit on the fence about the live performances, because you can't tell that they're live, because we're so used to watching YouTube these days. When I watched Lamb of God and Suicide Silence, both brilliant bands, by the way, great live performances, but I just felt like I was watching something from years ago. It didn't have that immediacy
Mm-hmm.
that live music has. So
Yeah. Mm.
there's a few, some, I don't know whether we're going to figure it out in the short term. And believe me, I've spoken to, I checked, I spoke to literally 100 people last year doing this sort of stuff, and a lot of the conversations, the nitty gritty of it, is what we're talking about now. We just don't know what the future looks like, and with something like Omega, because I'm not overly familiar with your work, but I am very impressed with Omega, by the way, because
Thank you. Mm.
I like the way you guys blend. There's this tendency for bands to sacrifice the brutality and the heaviness, the extreme metal component, for the melody. You guys don't do that. You
Mm-hmm.
guys find that balance, and that's your other albums are probably a lot like that too. But that's the main thing that hit me with Omega, was this beautiful balance you've struck. So, mate, I hope people are curious enough, to check it out and
Mm-hmm.
to understand that the next time you can tour probably will be in 12 months' time at the soonest. But you guys
Mm-hmm.
and just about literally every other band out there in the same basket, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a very weird situation, and it's taking too long now. In the first months, I was okay with it, but now I feel like shit. The
Mm.
problem is we had the sabbatical before we started writing and recording Omega, so we were already a little bit on a break and eager to get back into the saddle, so to speak. And then this hit us. Feels like a forced, uh, unwanted second
Mm.
sabbatical. Um, and it's in our DNA to be on stage. And I think all the Epica band members now, our current lineup, we're all stage animals. So it feels a little
Definitely.
bit as if we're caged in a routine that
It's
that's kind of
unfamiliar. Yeah.
uh, it's not really unfamiliar. I have a son as well, so I do have the family life, but I
Mm.
always loved the combination of both.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's yeah, it feels as if we're how do you say in Dutch? We say or in German abgestumpft. It means that the sharp knife is getting blunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. You
Because a
lose your
huge
edge.
part
Yeah,
of us is not activated. It's like it's put on standby.
yeah, yeah. Well, just let's talk about the album itself.
Yeah.
So, I think this is the first album title that's a single word. All of your other album titles tend to be quite detailed in depth, but is there a concept behind the album title? Because, first thing I thought it was Alpha and Omega, so you've decided to call it Omega.
Yeah, the original name we were thinking about, or Mark, is the one that comes up with the album titles and a little bit the red line through the lyrics. And he wanted to name the album the Omega Point. And the Omega Point is basically where the Big Bang is the creation of the universe, and the Omega Point is that the spiritual belief and scientific speculation that everything in the universe is coming together, like in a spiral towards a final point of unification. And it is, how do you say, the end of the Kingdom of Heaven trilogy. Okay. So that's the end of the story, but not the end of Epica or the end of the world, even though now it kind of feels like it sometimes. But it's a very spiritual album. It's our 8th studio album. We have the number 8 also incorporated in our artwork. And if you put 8 to the side, it turns into the infinity symbol.
Yeah, gotcha.
And you also see the Ankh, the Egyptian hieroglyph. That's basically breath of life. And we go actually from being born to basically dying and everything in between, and the spiritual journey of trying to navigate through our own inner labyrinth. If we all go through phases in life, and when you reach a certain age, you also start to think a little bit about what the true meaning of life is. And this whole album is kind of a spiritual journey trying to find the true meaning of life. And our life is basically a labyrinth in which we are trapped, but we can also break free or try to navigate through that labyrinth and find peace within ourselves, so to speak.
Yeah, it's that's an extraordinary response. Thanks for that. That's great. No, that's fantastic, because as you've been talking to me, I've been looking at the album cover, and you've just first of all, I'm just so impressed with whoever you've got to Photoshop or put this together using Illustrator, I suppose it would have been. But holy shit, excuse my language, it's a tremendous album cover. The combination of elements there,
yeah, thank you. It's the artist who created the cover is called Stefan Heilemann, and he's been working with us since the Classical Conspiracy, so since 2008. And he's a German artist, also a friend of mine. He lives close to where I live. He's also living in Germany, and he has a very unique style, and we kind of direct him in the beginning, where we give him information about the lyrics, and he basically gets carte blanche. So he comes up with the idea, and then we kind of twist and tweak wherever necessary so that everybody in the band is happy. And also that was taking place during the pandemic as well, so we had to come up for some alternative ideas how to do the photo shoot, because Mark was still in Sicily. He couldn't travel, so he had to be photographed by a photographer over there.
Somebody else, yeah.
And Stefan Heilemann came to my house, so we took some photos of me in my photo studio. And then Stefan and me, I call him Heile, it's his nickname or his artist name. We traveled to the Netherlands to take photos of the other band members, and for me to record the vocals for the acoustic CD for the Omega songs. Okay. And yeah, so that's how we all kind of made it work. But Stefan or Heilemann's strength is also creating within Photoshop. He's a graphic designer. I would say he's very good at that, and to create something very mysterious out of so many different elements. And on the cover, you see also the contrast between light and dark, and representing yin yang, that we are all existing out of light and dark, and this little person trying to find her way through the labyrinth is actually his wife.
Oh, is that
He
right? Okay.
photographed many times and then put her in the cover. And yeah, I'm very happy with the artwork. That's something I find take very much uh, joy out of creating the visual aspect of also the music and the photo shoots, the video shoots. I enjoyed it very much, and I think it's a big part also of Epica. It's the visual side that I also take a lot of responsibility for.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So, the Abyss of Time videos is great as well. Extremely visceral is the word that comes to mind. But there's some scenery in there, and I was curious, where's that? Where was that filmed?
You mean the young woman and the older guy?
Oh, the landscape, the rocks, and the
Yes.
forest and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the idea was to kind of that that there's this labyrinth within the forest. This older man is kind of drawn to by this mystical creature, which is the woman, the young woman, leading him into the labyrinth, and he kind of has this awakening. This yeah, he sees the light, so to speak, not in a religious way, but yeah, that he kind of comes out of the labyrinth and totally in total enlightenment, if you can say it like that.
Yeah.
And me and Mark are representing also yin yang. I'm dressed in white, Mark's dressed in black when we are having our when we are singing the verses and we're back to back to each other. And you
Yeah.
have also the dancers in black and white dresses, and all the elaborate costumes were made by a Polish designer. And it was, yeah, the most decadent outfit that I ever wore. Made me feel like a queen, but I couldn't move very much, so it's not something I could wear on stage. It
Yeah.
was purely for me standing still and performing.
Yeah, that was stunning. That outfit you're wearing. Yeah, yeah. You work with some very
Thank you.
talented people there. That's what I find is I studied Illustrator and Photoshop at uni, and I can get by. But when I see album covers like what your guys come up with here, I think, oh shit, I've got so much longer to go. But I think you've just got to sort of know your limits, I think, and understand what your potential is too, and sort of be inspired by these great pieces of art that you see, such as your album cover.
Yeah, I do a little Photoshop myself, but Heile is Stefan Heilemann is a different level.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think I've got time for one more as a question. Is that cool? I think you got another conversation coming
Yeah,
up in 5 minutes. So,
sure.
look, Australia. Of course, I assume you'll probably get asked this question by every journalist tonight. But have we been a good territory for you guys? Like, do you hear a lot from us?
You mean our fan base,
Yes.
or in general? Our fan
Yeah.
base
Yeah,
is
the Epica fan base. Yeah.
we've been to Australia now 3 times, I think. Yeah, or 2 times. I actually don't know. Once when I was pregnant with my son, and then a second time. I think we've been there only 2 times. It's so sad. It's so far away, but um, we love being in Australia. I mean, the people are they are they. It feels very European to me, I find, and very open, very warm and welcoming, very relaxed. But we've only had maybe, I don't know, 10 shows in total.
Yep.
So it's not, unfortunately, like Italy or France where we can go a couple times a year because it's so far away. But there's definitely a metal scene in Australia, and the first time when we got there, we got positive response. Many fans that said, we know Epica since such a long time, and finally you're here. So if only it were a little bit closer, we would probably come by more often. The shows were, compared to European shows, kind of small, because when you're starting in a new country, you have to invest, you have to go there a lot. So, but if you say you have the festival now, it would be great if we could come by and play on that festival, and maybe also have a larger audience. show our music to.
Yeah, you guys would be perfect for download. That's made for you guys.
Yeah, we would like to come.
Yeah, well, I hope it happens whenever the next one comes up. God knows when that'll happen. But yeah. So, but look, I'll wrap things up. But look, good luck with everything. And I mean that. I know it's not easy, and you're an entertainer. You're an outstanding singer. I've got to say that. I think you can tell that you've put a lot of effort and work into the stuff that
Thank you.
you've
Yeah.
recorded. I can hear that. I'm a musician myself, and I can hear that. And I've seen there's plenty of YouTube performances out there of you guys, and the band sounds cohesive, sounds like it's got it together, and I'm a heavy metal and an extreme metal evangelist, and I think particularly with you guys have got the potential to bring in people who don't listen to this sort of music normally. You got crossover potential, So I hope that continues to happen. I hope people, they get curious and buy your book too. I was meant to ask you a question about your book, how that went, because I'm a writer, I'm an author, you see. So the Essence of Epica, the book there, I saw the video on your website there, or actually it's a dedicated website for the Essence of Epica, isn't it? But you've got a ton of stuff going on, and the future looks bright regardless. So best of luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you very much. You too, and also with your family. Stay healthy. Stay away from Corona.
Definitely try, and likewise. Yeah, no worries. All right, nice chatting. I appreciate it.
All right, have a nice evening.
Have a great morning. Great rest of the day. No worries. Cheers.
Thanks.
See
Cheers.
Ya. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. The interview subject you just heard from was Simone Simons from the outfit Epica. Thanks for listening.